You've been practicing a version of yourself every day, a reaction, a pattern, a way of responding to pressure. That repetition is building something. The way you think, the way you respond, what you reach for automatically. None of it stays neutral. What you repeat starts to shape who you become. Exposure revealed what was already shaping you. You saw the pattern. Now comes the hard part, replacing it. Because awareness alone doesn't change your life. You can recognize the reaction and still keep reinforcing it. That's the danger. The old response starts feeling familiar. Then familiar starts feeling natural. And eventually, natural starts feeling like identity. Repeated reaction eventually becomes a person. That's how people mistake survival patterns for who they are. You repeated it long enough that your mind built around it. And now it feels automatic. In Romans 12:2, it says, "Be transformed by the renewing of your mind." Transformation happens through renewal. Repeatedly choosing what agrees with truth over what agrees with fear. That's the shift. You stop living from reaction and start living from alignment. Not perfectly, consistently, because clarity and confidence aren't what begin the process. They're what grow from it. You act first, and then your thinking begins to shift. Change holds when it has structure. You don't rise into transformation accidentally. You reinforce it intentionally through repetition, through structure, through small decisions that slowly redirect your life. You remove what keeps pulling you backward. You build environments that support who you're becoming. And over time, small wins stop feeling small because they're proving something, that you are capable of change, not through intensity, through agreement. You don't find your identity. You sow it through the daily habits that agree with who God created you to be. What you repeat compounds. Every repeated action strengthens something: fear, avoidance, discipline, trust. You're always reinforcing a direction. Galatians 6:7 says, "Whatever one sows, that will he also reap." This applies spiritually, mentally, practically. What you repeatedly sow eventually becomes visible in your life. That's why setbacks can't become identity. You will have moments where the old pattern resurfaces, moments where the reaction returns. That doesn't erase your progress. Setbacks aren't proof that transformation failed. They're exposure for refinement, data for adjustment. You continue building anyway. That's how self-trust forms. You make a decision, you follow through, you repeat it again, and eventually your life begins to align with the person that you've been practicing to become. Because repetition eventually stops feeling like practice and starts to feel like who you are.